I don't know if you know this, but Kira's family has been fostering some kids, and they have been fostering 2 twins for 2 years, right? And they did an online adoption ceremony where these twins today became officially a part of their family, Cashlyn and Kyron. Yeah, it's awesome. I haven't seen an adoption service in a long time because of COVID, but they did this one online so I could log on and watch it. And it was super powerful because it reminded me of how we are adopted into God's family. And listen, these 2-year-olds, they've been with the Tanners for 2 years since they were real little babies, and they did not earn adoption. They did not do anything to earn their way to adoption. But the Tanners made a choice to say, these are part of our family, and we're going to go through the process to adopt these kids. And the judge asks her parents some questions and says, have you been through all these inspections in your home? Do you find your home to be a suitable place for these twins? And they say yes. And they say, do you feel like this adoption process is the best possible outcome for these kids? That this is in the best interest of these children? And they said yes. And I start crying. I'm watching this thing on my little phone screen, and I'm crying because I'm like, that's what God does for us. Yeah. That the enemy has had a plan for your life, and God says, these people are part of my family. And the enemy is going, but they don't deserve it. They don't earn it. Are you sure that that's in their best possible interest? And God says, yes. Adoption into my family is in their best interest. And then the judge, at the end of the ceremony, he pronounces them as Tanner kids. And then he asks Stacy, Kira's mom, to introduce the whole family. And her sister and her husband are there, Rochelle and Bryce, and Connor and Sandra and Kira. And Stacy's introducing all the kids. And the judge says, wow, I hope you have a big house. And everybody laughs. But I started crying again. Because I'm going, that is how God is. That the family of God is never too big. That the house of God cannot fit it. That there is room in God's house for you. Whether you earned it, whether you deserved it, whether you've been in church your whole life, or whether you stumbled into church, whether you've been perfect since you were born, or whether you have just kind of stumbled into this thing called Christianity, there is room in God's house for you. Listen, God has a big house, and He's got room in the family for you. And I was so struck by the biblical parallels of adoption that God, while we were yet sinners, while we were messing up, while we were in sin, while we were problem children, Christ died for us. And God made the decision to adopt us into His family. And you are no longer called slaves to sin. You are sons and daughters of God. I'm stirred up by that thought because that means that I'm not defined by my failures. I'm not defined by the family that I came from. I'm defined by being a part of the family